Have we actually attained a stable and realistic exchange rate in your opinion?
Personally, I think we're still moving gradually towards this phenomenon because if we, the Monetary Policy Committee, I think the last time I heard them said there's not going to be any change in the interest rate, but I think I made mention of similar comment the last time I was here, that what the Naira could buy about 20 years ago is not what it could buy now, when we have the rate of about 1:1 to the pound sterling. Okay, now one pound sterling equals to about 250 Naira.
250 there, about 275.
Yeah, but well, and it keeps going up. Now, for a foreign investor to come in, they will be somehow the major beneficiary when they bring you bring in £1 million into the country. That gives you around about 270 million naira. Okay, but for a businessman who actually can't compete with that, obviously going to be kicked out of the market. So when you look at the monetary policy, the central bank really needs to look into it, how to bring it down, because the way it is now is not really conducive for the local businessmen in this country.
So what should be done to actually attain a stable and realistic exchange rate that will boost domestic production, increase real inward foreign direct investment, and as well as maintain internal and external balance?
I think the first thing is that, well, in the past 3 years that the coordinating minister referred to, the exchange rate has been a little bit stable. Okay, it has not experienced the wide fluctuations that we were used to in the past. So I think that is one of the stabilizing forces that had encouraged foreign direct investment. And beyond that, we have to look at the infrastructure also. In addition to oil and gas, especially the privatization and liberalization in the deregulation of the power sector has attracted huge amounts of investment in the last half of the year. And I think that is part of the reason why the foreign direct investment has gone up. Okay, so when we look at those are the real sector investment that we are talking about. So going forward, if by the time the investment in the oil in the power sector begin to yield results, we definitely have somehow a downward trend in the inflation rate. And when we do that, when that happens, that will affect prices, certainly, and that will of course encourage more investment, even both local and domestic. I mean, and foreign in the economy. Yeah. With that as well, we will see, kind of a buoying up of our exchange rates.
Mike Jones.
Let me just buttress to what he's been saying as well. Before we get carried away, I mean, this is an opportunity for this country, because we're going to be hosting the World Economic Forum next year, for us to begin to put things right. You see, all this international investors coming into the country, they're coming in based on the marketing strategy and the news and the information they've been able to gather, because some of them haven't been here before, that we've gone out there to sell to them. So based on that, they want to come in to say. Now, my advice to the government, if I'm in government, what I'll begin to do now is to begin to put our social infrastructure in place. Because, put it this way, when they all come in, the government plan is, I'm going to put all of them, channel them to Abuja, which is a well-developed city. But forget the fact that the majority of these people want to explore the rest of the country. Now, look at the foremost international airport that we have, the Murtala Mohammed International Airport. Now, if you go to that airport, beautifully edified, right? But the channel, the road that leads from that airport down to town is deplorable. It's appalling.
Well, it's work in progress.
It's a national embarrassment, because if someone comes in from out of the country and go through that road, I mean, that depicts something about the governance. So I mean, we need to begin to do that. Well, thank God, the power system has been obviously been deregulated. I mean, hopefully it goes the way it should go, because that is a basic mechanism that drives every commercial activity. If that goes on fine, excellent. But what about our roads? What's happened to all our roads? If I'm going to invest in agriculture, how am I going to move my goods from the farm in real time to the market, especially perishable goods? Right? We need to begin to fix our roads. Hospitals. A very good example is this. If I'm coming in from the West and I'm bringing in my money to invest in this country, My number one priority is my family. Okay, I'm going to be thinking, okay, I can't leave my family over there, okay, and stay in here because they are my priority. Now, I'm going to want to find out what is the educational system in this country. Can I bring my children in here to come and school in here? That's number one. Number two, our hospital and health care. Do we have enough facilities in place that if anything happens, especially in the middle of the night, I can dial, like, for example, 112 or 999, that I could have a quick response? All those things, if they're not in place, I'll be scared of of coming in here because it's not about my money and making money, it's about my family as well. So we need to begin to fix. It's an opportunity for us now to begin to invest as a government in all our infrastructures, education, healthcare system, our roads, and so on and so forth.
No, it's a good thing you mentioned all of this, because you see there's been this ongoing debate about how much foreign direct investment has actually impacted on our economy, and well, the minister says that these investments are, you know, the nation has so much investment, so much to show the world who is going to be, you know, focused on Nigeria. But in terms of unemployment and poverty reduction, how much impact has foreign direct investment had here in Nigeria?
Right.
Okay, just to add to what you're saying, I'll take a little bit different opinion to what government should do to attract investment.
Okay.
The infrastructure sector that you mentioned, actually, for me, should actually be the point of investment. The government should package infrastructure as also what should be invested into. But the problem is that the real problem is with the policy mechanism.
Well, back to the policy mechanism
yes
again.
So we've seen the government commitment and lack of it to PPP, okay, except the power sector that is ongoing. Of course, we do not know what the end result is still going to be, because we've seen government back tracing on so many contracts. The Lekki concession road is one. I don't know what happened, but you know, last few months ago we learned that the government was buying it back. And if you go to IP3 or the World Bank, that particular project is being cited as one of the most successful PPPs in Nigeria currently. And there's a lot of foreign investment there. Okay, so infrastructure is part of the areas where government should actually package as investable areas. But the problem is that the policy environment scares, let me use that word, investors, because each time we have policy somersault, government keeps changing its plans, its priorities, and so on. So that is actually the danger. It's not about the infrastructure. I mean, a lot of people do no longer expect the government to be directly involved even in the provision of infrastructure. Okay, PPP is an alternative, but the policy environment has to be right in order to encourage that to happen.
Well, just before we go on a break to catch our breaths, let's let you know, because I asked a question just before you know.
Yeah, we're going to come to that as well.
So let's just quickly look at that. How much has foreign direct investment, you know, impacted in terms of improving unemployment and reducing poverty?
Can I come in there? Unemployment rate is still very high. At the last count, it's about 23%.
So they haven't really had much impact?
Not at all. We're talking about foreign investment that is targeted at some profitable areas, oil and gas, and the capital market. So these are very narrow segments of the economy.
Okay, so how can we make these other sectors more profitable so that they would also think about bringing investments there?
Let's say we have a huge human resource capital in this country, but we're not making use of them. Now, I'll give a simple example. I mean, we have, I think about a couple of months ago, we have this outbreak of cholera in the country that some lives were lost. Now, I will advocate or advise the government to look into that area, not just because of the outbreak. When we have a lot of graduates out there, I mean, what's stopping the government, right? For example, they have the GIS in place. What's stopping the government from having some of these graduates, train them as like similar to the public health people? Go out there to every cafeteria, every restaurant, just to go out there to advise, to educate on how to play a safe environment, hygiene, how to put in a proper hygiene in place, and how to do things in the normal way that will prevent an outbreak of any illness or sickness out there. So that's one thing. The second one is the GIS. It's a great instrument that the government has. Honestly, I credit them for that. But they need to look into some of those things, the awareness of that GIS. GIS, Graduate Internship Scheme. Now, you say, I can boast that I'm one of the employer out there who is benefiting from the GIS. And the major reason why I was able to do that is because I'm used to such a similar system when I was in the UK. So when I heard about it, I know what it's all about, and I had to make an extensive research about it. And from there, I got to understand that majority of our employers in this country doesn't even understand how it works. So we need to bring that awareness, not just to the employers alone, and also to the job seekers. So this area, I think an investment, huge investment could go in there, and we can use that avenue to begin to reduce the unemployment rate in this country.